Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, first let me introduce myself. I'm Razieq from TBI 4A, and today I will explain about 5 pragmatic materials. Let's start with speech act. Speech act refer to the action performed by speakers through language. They go beyond merely conveying information and can include making requests, giving comments, asking questions, making promises, expressing feeling, and more. The next is types of speech act. Speech acts also have several parts, and the first is declarations. These are speech acts that bring about an immediate change in the world simply by being uttered. Examples include I now pronounce you husband and wife in a wedding ceremony, or I declare this meeting adjourned. And the second is assertive. This speech act aims to convey information or express belief about a state of affairs. For instance, it's raining outside, or the earth revolves around the sun, are assertive speech act. And the third is expressive. Expressive speech act convey the speaker's feeling, emotion, or attitudes toward a situation. Examples include I'm sorry for your loss, or congratulations on your promotion. And the next is 4 is directive. These speech acts are used to influence the behavior of the listener by requesting, commanding, advising, or suggesting. For example, please close the door or don't touch that. And the 5 is commissive. Commissive is a speech act commit the speaker to a future course of action. Example include I promise to help you with your project, or I will meet you at restaurant at 7 p.m. Alright. The next, in the second material, we have the cooperation principle. Concept proposed by philosopher Paul Grice that serve as the cornerstone of effective communication between speakers and listener. It's all about ensuring that our conversations are clear, truthful, relevant, and informative. So, let's break it down into 4 maxims. The first, we have quantity. This means giving just the right amount of information, not too much and not too little. For instance, if someone asks for direction, bombarding them with unnecessary details violates this maxim, while giving too little information makes it hard for them to follow. Next is quality. This is all about being truthful and providing information that's backed by evidence. Imagine saying the bus will be there in 5 minutes when you know it actually takes 15 minutes. That's a clear violation of the quality maxim. And then third is relation. This maxim demands that our contribution stay relevant to the ongoing conversation. Suddenly changing the topic to something completely unrelated during a serious discussion is a big no according to the relation maxim. And the last one is manner. This one all about clarity and coherence. Using language that vague or confusing can make listeners confused. By applying the cooperative principle in conversation leads to smoother interaction and better understanding. When everyone trusts to each other is following this maxim, is foster cooperation and mutual understanding. Then we have a third material is implicature. Implicature is all about conveying meaning indirectly, relying on context and share knowledge to get the message across. It's like reading between the lines, adding layers of meaning beyond just the literal words. Then next, there are 2 types of implication that I can explain. First up, we have conversational implication. This happens when speakers apply meaning that goes beyond the literal words they're using. It's all about context and intention. For example, saying some of the cookies are good might imply that not all the cookies are tasty. Then we've got conventional implication. This is when implied meaning and kind of bake into the language or culture. So, for instance, when we use the word but in a sentence, it typically implies a contrast between two clauses. It's like linguistic shortcut that we all understand. Next, we will talk about presupposition. Presupposition is about the assumption we make in conversation, expecting everyone to already know certain things as background knowledge. This assumption shape how we talk and what we consider relevant. Now, I will explain some categories of presupposition. First, we got existential presupposition. This assumes the existence of something or someone mentioned in the conversation. For example, when someone says, John regrets eating the last slice of cake, they're presupposing that there is indeed the last slice of cake. Next, we have factive presupposition. This assumes the truth of something stated in a sentence. So, when someone says Jane stopped smoking, they're presupposing that Jane used to smoke. Then, there is implicative presupposition. This implies certain things based on how the sentence is structured. For instance, when we say John remembers quitting his job, we're supposing that John did indeed quit his job at the same point. The next is lexical presupposition. This arises from the meaning of specific words or phrase used in the conversation. So if someone says Mary's brother returned from his trip, they're presupposing that Mary does have a brother. Next, we've got structural presupposition. This comes from the structure or the sentence itself. For example, when we say before eating dinner, John washed his hand, we're presupposing that John did wash his hand every dinner. And the last one, we have non-effective presupposition. These are assumed that stick around even when we use negative or question. So when someone asks, why did you stop beating your dog? They're presupposing that the listener was indeed beating their dog at the same point. So, as you can see, presupposition shapes how we communicate and add layers of meaning to our conversation. Okay, and last, I will explain about politeness strategies. The first, we have positive politeness. This is all about being warm and friendly with others. Boosting those good vibes is like giving someone a virtual high five, using language and action to show appreciation, give compliments, and spread positivity. And the second, we have negative politeness. Now, this strategy is about respecting people's space and autonomy. It's like saying, hey, I'm here, but I don't want to step on your toes. We use polite requests, apologize, and expressions of deference to make sure we're not imposing on anyone. And the third is off the record. Here's where things get a bit subtle. Instead of saying things directly, we drop hints or use nonverbal cues to get our point across. It's like a secret handshake, only those we didn't know can pick up on it. And the fourth is on record. Now this is the straightforward approach, no beating around the bush here. We say what we mean and mean what we say, without any fancy footwork and hidden meanings. It's all about clarity and being upfront. And the last one is say nothing. Sometimes silence speaks volumes. This strategy involves not saying anything at all, whether it's to avoid conflict, keep the peace, or signal disapproval. It's like hitting the mute button on a conversation. So guys, whether we're spreading good vibes, respecting boundaries, dropping hints, being upfront, or staying silent, these politeness strategies help us navigate social interaction, keep the peace, and show respect for everyone involved. Okay guys, I think that's all I can say to you today. Last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.